All right, you guys, anyone who's ever had a pair of these knows exactly what I'm up to. These are some old Fisher floor standing speakers. They sound really good. Well, at least they used to. So now, whip out some tools. Nice simple job. Here are the old drivers, mid-range, tweeters. Not too bad of a quality for what they are. I'm gonna step it up a notch. I'm gonna save the woofers. The woofers are working fine. No breaks in the voice coils. No structural damage. The surrounds are in really good shape, as you can see. So we're gonna go ahead and reuse those, and then we are gonna upgrade with, I'm gonna show you a secret. You don't have to pay big bucks for these replacement drivers that suck. Just go and get yourself a couple of nice coaxial mid-range. I use the Skars. They work really well. They've sounded good in every car I've ever put them in. I have them in both of my boats. DS18 or whatever you want to call them, tweeters. These are really good little tweeters. I've used them quite a bit too. And they are just a little bullet tweeter that really screams and does not distort at all when you crank up the highs. So what we're going to do with these is these have a tweeter in them. We are just going to disconnect that. We're just going to use this for mid-range because a pair of these is $40. These are $40 each. And as you see, there's a little bit bigger magnet, probably a little bit better quality. And instead of a paper cone, they have a cone that is made out of a plastic material and a little better quality surround, so I'll get a little bit better mid bass out of these. These little guys, they're just, you know, old-fashioned paper. These have the accordion type surround, which doesn't really move as well, doesn't allow as much movement for the voice coil. Same with the tweeters. These are a voice coil tweeter, which is basically just a tiny speaker. These are a bullet tweeter. These will create really super nice crisp highs because the tweeter itself doesn't really move much. It's going to be more of a rigid driver in that. So it's going to alter the sound a little bit, give it a little better highs. All you got to do is adjust your equalizer a little bit. No big deal. Now these are the old crossovers. Probably not the best, but they've worked for 40 years. These are 40-year-old speakers. They are from 1985. And we're going to replace them with these a little bit heavier crossovers because what we did was we took these speakers off of a 120 watt system and I'm running them off of my Sony receiver, a big 2-channel receiver that is also a surround sound. Let's take a look at that. This is my shop, so this is where the stereo sits over here. Speakers go there. And it's got this big Sony receiver, which is about 540 watts total. So it's been a long time coming. There's a TV too. Got to put that up. It's been a long time coming that I've rebuilt these speakers because that receiver has just been abusing them, and little by little the mids and the highs went out. The woofers can handle it though. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to solder all of our wires. We're going to replicate what is here, and then we're going to use a little bit better quality wire, and then we're going to go ahead and install all of this into those old Fisher cabinets. See you in a bit. First things first, let's clean off our soldering tip. All right, tin the end of our soldering iron, make sure it's ready. Always want to test your wire out because sometimes solder doesn't flow really good on certain wires. So make sure that it's going to flow good and do what you want it to do. Tin up this end and just give it a look. A little look-see. A lot of wire these days is copper over something else, so and that won't solder. Yeah, it tinned up pretty nice. Looks pretty good. Okay, and what you'll see is these have a common ground, and when it goes up to this tweeter in the mid, it splits off. So we've got 1, 2, 3 grounds, so that's a common ground. And then we've got bass, mid-range, and treble right here. So these are the wires we're going to be replacing. We're not going to use these. These are thin and got crappy little crimps on the end. So we're going to step it up a little bit. So the first thing we want to do is remove the speaker wire input. So that means we're going to have to unsolder these terminals right here. Now, to make this easy, I'm just going to get rid of all of these. Both of these setups. Okay. So let's see if we can get this to flow here. If it's high temp, we might not be able to, because sometimes in the factory they use high temp solder. Looks like it's starting to liquefy a little. Starting to come apart. Okay, just gotta bend that down. Do the same here till it pops free. Boom. Okay, a little bit at a time. Voila. Okay, so now we have a nice speaker input that we can use to attach to our input on our new crossovers. So let's do that again. You just want to take this and kind of bend it away from those terminals. Heat the terminal up. Roll your iron across that terminal a few times. Heat it hot. And it will just pop free just like that. Same here, just roll it around. Pop free, do it a little bit at a time. And boom, away go these old crossovers. You have done us well, old crossovers. Now I'm going to clean these up a little bit. Make sure that the solder on them is clean. We don't have any blobs of dried out flux. Just kind of clean them bad boys up. There we go. Just kind of heat that. We don't want to have any dirt or anything in our solder there, because this is going to be very violent inside of these speakers when they're jamming. There's going to be a lot of vibrations and stuff, and if you have a bad solder connection right here, that's where it'll rear its ugly head. Okay, so now what we want to do is figure out where we're going to put our crossovers, and they are a type that you can put on a standoff with the screws here. So I'm figuring I'm probably going to just mount them right inside next to this, and I'm going to come out of these and right up into the input just like this, and that way they're both accessible from inside this woofer hole. So we need about let's say 6 inches of wire times 2. Okay, I'm just going to strip that back. We got the bugs. It's out in the woods, guys. That's why I'm fixing these, because I'm in the woods and I can jam. Nobody cares. So I figured I might as well have a jamming stereo. Otherwise I might not have gone this far, because if you got neighbors, they will definitely not like you if you play these speakers loud. And I don't listen to loud music in my house because I have a cockatoo, and she does not like loud music, or at least not as loud as this is going to be. Woo! Don't mind my scripting, guys. I've done it this way my whole life. 40 plus years. Now I don't twist these real tight because that keeps the solder from flowing into the strands. I just give them like a light twist. Very light. Just like so. Okay. Oh yeah, we got some doggies barking now. As I was talking about soldering things that we can solder, that means our speaker wires and our input wire to the terminals, but here we're going to have to use ring connectors. So instead of using, I'm going to show you this. It's tempting to use these because they're just easy to slide on, but that's going to cause you problems because these can pull off and they can loosen up a little. So we are going to go with the full ring, and this wire is a 14 gauge, so we're going to use a blue connector. That means we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 per crossover. Okay, number 2. Get it in there so it rides right out just a little. Okay. Sure you get that blue part over your insulation. There we go. Crimp that sucker down good. I'm gonna lightly twist these. I'm gonna tin the ends. You just get a hang for doing this after a while. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of solder on each of these because this is a different temperature solder that the factory used. I want the same temperature so that they come together. Just like so. Okay, let's do this. Put that clamp on there lightly. You don't have to click it down. Side first. Get a good little flow, give it about 10 seconds. Give it a yank. Okay. Make sure those suckers are on there good. Open these up. Okay, so now we have a good connection there. These are soldered on, they're not going to come apart. You're not going to have any loose wires or any of that stuff. Check your springs. Okay, so we'll do the other one now. Okay, we're not going to be using this capacitor on these tweeters. So we're going to go ahead and pull that off. Save those for another job if you have one going that you need some tweeter caps for. Okay, our tweeters in our mid-range are looking at about 16 inches. So we're going to go ahead and do those. I'm going to cut 4 even pieces. Okay, move them over to my right leg. What you'll see I'm doing here is kind of what you do when you're in an electronic shop. Do them all like a little assembly line. Just a loose twist. Hang them over your leg. If you're sitting at a bench, you'll be sitting here with your feet up like this. This way you make sure you get every step taken, because when you are done doing this, you move it to the other side and you know that step is complete. And you don't get to go soldering and realize you forgot to twist one off or do whatever particular step it was. Okay, so I've got all these. I'm going to move them back to my left leg now that they're done. And I'm going to take them one at a time. And I'm going to use my little holders here. You can tell I've had these for a long time. There. Just give them a little tighten. I'm guessing you can see that. And then we're going to tin every one of these. Just like so. Step after step after step. You can use those little vice holders if you want to use them. Those are cool too. Just tin those ends. Tinning is just the process of putting solder on wire. What are you doing down there, dog? My dog is being a dingbat. Okay, that one is complete. I'm just going to sit there. Just going to do one at a time. Some critters out in the woods. The weather's changing. We're going to tin our speakers up, make sure they got solder on all the terminals. got some solder left over from the crossover. Okay, now what we're gonna do here, I don't want these little tweeters to blow on me and start screeching. So we're just gonna take them out of the equation. They can just look cool. So that means these little wires right here that go up into the tweeter through this little rubber thing, up into the center of the voice coil to the tweeter. We're just gonna cut them, just like so. And then we are going to cut them there so they don't get caught down in there. And this speaker here is now a mid-range. Cut that free right there. And you know, if you want to be enterprising and actually remove these, you can put them in your car and use them in your car. Have an extra tweeter. But I'm not really sure how they come out, and I don't want to damage the speakers, so I'm just going to leave them there. Now we're going to go ahead, and each of these we are going to solder our connectors to. Come in from the side a little bit. Okay, spin that around. You want to touch the wire and the terminal at the same time until it flows, just like that. Hold it for 10 seconds. Okay, that speaker is ready. Okay, we're going to take our defective electrical tape that is all melted. Can we find the end? There it is. So you just want everything to be pinned down. You don't want any little vibrations or sometimes you'll get sounds in your speakers and you'll wonder where they come from. You can open them up and find things are wobbling around and flopping around inside your speakers. All right, now you never have to worry about that coming apart. Now what I like to do is run a piece of tape behind those terminals, just like this, before I start doing my wrap. Just get it around them, like that. And then I like to go around twice underneath. There. Start out behind the terminal, like that. And this one looks like it got a little better coverage on there, so we're going to strain relieve it. I'll just hit these. Just pin that to the rubber spacer on this magnet. Just like so. Just like so. So that's good. All right. We are going back to crimping. Okay, double check. Tweeter's connected. Now I tinned those ends just a little bit so they're a lot nicer of a crimp. You don't have to do that. It's not a necessary move. Sometimes it just helps the crimp bite a little bit without totally crushing the wire. You see a little of that solder poking out at the end here. So when I'm crimping down on a soldered piece of wire. So you know that's not going to come apart. Little tricks like that. And like I said, you learn this when you do a lot of systems in cars that have a lot of bass, because bass can blow things apart real fast. All right, now we are ready for installation. All right, see you guys over there. At that hole, and I'm going to connect these inputs. So you're not going to be able to watch that, so just trust me. I'll be back in a minute. All right, we're just going to put it together this way. Seems to be a little easier. Yep. I like to screw away from the speaker a little so that you get a good bite. Particle board can blow out. You go straight in with it. So just angle your screws away from the speaker a little, and they'll bite a lot better. All right, I'm gonna go make a woofer wire. Be right back. All right, let's connect the woofer. What you doing, boy? Getting ready to jam out? Huh? You ready to listen to some music? Now you guys can do this a lot easier if you just crimped without soldering. Because I've got some permanent connections here, I have to do it this way. I don't mind twisting and bending a little bit, because I know that 80% of my connections are soldered. And I know they won't come apart. But if you feel comfortable crimping, by all means, crimp away. Okay. Show you a little trick here. When you're putting these crossovers down, you don't want to screw them against the wood, because then you're going to be screwing all the solder terminals on the back and stuff. I just cut two little pieces of this thick speaker wire and put it under it, and then screw it down, and this is sort of like a cushion. You can also put little O-rings or little spacers behind it. I don't find that to be necessary. So I just put a little piece of this wire underneath it. I just put them underneath where the screws are going to hold that to the wood, and that's like a rubber spacer. Crossover screwed down. Got a nice rubber cushion on each side. Boom, boom, boom. It's not going anywhere. The solder joints and all the terminals on the back are not pressing against the back of the speaker, so that's ready for the sub to go in. Now these woofers do not have a stress relief. Give that a little bit of a loop there. Tighten down your zip tie really tight. Alright. Make sure your wire is not going to touch your cone of your speaker. I'm using the original screws. All the purists will be happy. All right, when you glue these speakers, make sure you use something flexible. I like 5200. I use it on boats a lot, so I always got some laying around. Get it out of there. Just gotta run a tiny bead. All right, where the old one was. Oh. hot glue for this too if you want, but it'll eventually come off. It's a polyurethane sealant. Works really well. Alright guys, we have got a speaker done. Look at that. And I'm going to jump on this one. In the next scene, I will have installed the other parts in the other speaker, and we will be jamming out and seeing how they sound. Alrighty. See the lights dim, you can tell how powerful that receiver is. Very little hiss. Well, take my word for it, they jam. I don't want to get no copyright strikes, but holy moly. Okay guys, we are connected. All the glue is dry. We're going to give them a little bump here using royalty-free music. Subscribe to Amorphous. Great royalty-free music. They frickin' blast. Holy shit, I can't wait to crank these suckers up tonight with the equalizer on my Spotify. Oh my god. Thanks for watching. Do it yourself. Save a whole bunch of money. Peace.